So let's go ahead and do the wipe down on the edges. There's going to be a lot of dirt right here. Since you remove the autopilot, you also want to clean this area as well and focus on the edge right here, underneath or on top of the headlight, the edge right here. And then for this inner edge, you actually don't need to use a squeegee. You could just use your fingers right here. And then we're going to focus on one last area, which is going to be right here at the bottom as well. We're going to use our clean microfiber again. Go ahead and spray. Okay. Go ahead and work your way all the way down. Okay. And one tip here, guys, is I do like wetting this area. There might be dirt, so either wipe it down or just wet it a little bit over here. So the first piece right here, it has a kiss cut right at the top. And the reason being is that's going to be the most important alignment point. So it's going to look something like this with a little bit of overlap. So once you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and peel it and just be careful. You don't have to stick it right away. Boom. That's about the amount of overlap that you want. And then you're going to go ahead and slowly remove it. If you're comfortable, you can go ahead and just rip it. And it should automatically align pretty naturally. You could use your finger with the wrap glove. There you go. And there's another cut right here. I'm going to go ahead and come to the ground. And look at this. It just aligns perfectly right here. So same thing here. You just want to go down to the center, right? And look at this alignment point. This little curved edge will go right into that just a little bit. So this should just align perfectly. And then since I just did halfway point right here, I'm just going to use the squeegee and go all the way out. Look at that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side and go ahead and push it down. Okay? So now that we have this done, we're going to focus on this line first. Go ahead and heat the whole thing since we're going to be working on the edges. Everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and use the orange tool and just push this in there. Okay. Look at that. And go ahead and just really push it in. Look at that, until you don't really see any overlap, okay? We're gonna go ahead and focus on this line right here. I wanna show you the alignment right here. So you see how it goes just a little bit over that. We're gonna go ahead and peel this off so it's not sticking to the rocker. We're gonna go ahead and heat it up. And we're just gonna focus on pushing it all the way down to that. And this is how the corner should look. Earlier we used the orange tool because it was a smaller gap. This is a bigger gap. So you can go ahead and use your black squeegee and just focus on going all the way in as far as you can go. Okay. If you can't get it all the way through, you could use this tool as well. It can be very helpful. Look at that. That's not going anywhere pretty much. Let's go ahead and do a nice heat gun to all the edges. Go ahead and grab your wrap glove. Focus on this little corner right here, and then gradually kind of work your way all the way around. So as you get here, I like pulling that back a little bit and then pushing that in like so. And it goes really deep because the metal actually curls in like that. So you want to we put a lot of material there on purpose so it gets a really nice grab. Now we have the second piece on the fender. We're going to go ahead and focus on getting right here. And I actually have previous tape that I use right here. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and focusing on this line right here. I'm just going to loosely align it for now. And you can see right here that this looks pretty good, in my opinion. It's getting close. And I think what's hard sometimes is the the glare from the glossiness of it. And if you look here, this also looks really, really close, right? The alignment right here is right to the edge. However, I think I could go a little bit more to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on moving it a little bit more to the right. So just like all the other areas, this is where you really want to spend some time on. I want actually a very, very little amount of overlap in this area. That looks pretty good, to be honest. That's a decent amount of overlap, and that's great. I'm going to go ahead and cut this up. This is going to come out like this. And if you look here, look what happens when I bring it down. Slightly off. So I still need to edit this a little bit. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. See what happens if I bring it up like that. Look at this. That comes out a lot better. There you go. So I think we got it finally. I think we're okay. We can start. So you're going to go ahead and peel this area. If this is shifting, it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and focus on that first. All right, so that's okay that it shifted. I'm going to go ahead and remove this now. All right, so now all you're going to focus on is this line right here. And then because this is loose like this, you can actually pull it down to provide a little bit more tension, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just get about 2-3 inches at the top. Okay, I like using my finger right there. All right, so now that we have the top done, we're going to be able to pull this just slowly. Okay, there you go. So watching this line right here, we're going to go ahead and get that. We're going to go at the center, which is about the center is right here. You can pull this down as well. You're just going to go straight down. And you can see the overlap is quite nice in terms of there's a good amount at the bottom, and it kind of goes a little bit less right here, which is where we're going to go over. Okay, so now use this as a handle. You're going to go ahead and focus on getting it down to the autopilot. Overlap is still really, really good. That's all you're going to stop at. That's it. Okay, there's going to be a line right here. And then you can focus on getting the next part out, which is right here. Perfect. All right, so we got all of this alignment point right here. And now that we have this aligned, don't worry about the autopilot just yet. Okay, so just leave that. Just leave it right about here. There's a lot of bridging going on. This is your alignment point. There's a little notch, and that's what you're going for. Okay? When I pulled it, I just made sure there might be a little bit of a pull, but just a little bit. But there should be no stretch at the edge. And once you have it aligned perfectly, look at that. It goes right to the corner, right? And we do that on purpose because it's a lot easier to deal with when less material like this. So now you can just push that in. Really, really easy. Let's go ahead and do the post heat. We're going to skip the autopilot still. We're going to go ahead and do the post heat though. Make sure you do all the edges. We're going to go ahead and focus on these edges. Once you get right here, we're going to be using our orange tool or the green tool. But the overlap on this is pretty straightforward, right? So you can focus on, there's going to be a lot of overlap right here. Look at that. You can just use the soft part of the squeegee and really get under that, and that edge looks phenomenal. You're going to go ahead and just focus on the edge first. Okay? And then working your way from here, you can actually start pushing that in. One thing that I found is that there's actually some more play right here. There's actually a bolt right there. So if you wanted to loosen it, that's not a bad idea to loosen it right here. But if you don't want to do that, you can just continue to use like a tool like this. You're going to focus on right here. So what I'm doing right now is actually using the pink squeegee to lift up the fender just a little bit. Okay, if you didn't want to remove this, or if you didn't want to kind of mess with that, this is the way to do it. So you can just kind of anchor it like that, and you should be able to get a lot of coverage right there. Let's go ahead and get the autopilot. We're going to use our wrap glove again. Whenever you do any recessed area, or I guess dips or deep valleys, you want to make sure that you use some heat. So in this case, I want to explain, there's a deep valley right here, and then it does go, this is more of a medium valley. We're going to focus on all this. Look at it kind of change. You're just going to push it in all the way into that valley. You saw how I did that in one motion. And then after that, you could focus on this. All right, and then it's no longer heated. All right, so focus on getting it all the way there. And notice how whenever I do this, I'm always thinking about the exit point, right? Whenever I go here, you're exiting out this way, you're exiting out this way, you're exiting out this way. This is an exit point. We created a lot more space, and once you cover it up, you don't see a single color of the original color, right? And now we can work on the edges, which I think for the Fender is a lot easier. Just open up your door halfway. Go ahead and do all the edges right here. This is a little bit of a tension point, so I'm going to go ahead and start there, and then after that, I can work my way all the way. This is another point right here. Boom. That's pretty much it. It should be good to go. So for the final piece, I want to kind of explain to you exactly how this will work. There is a good amount of concave right here, a lot of bend right here. And in order for this to lay down with very, very little work, you have to stretch it just a little bit. But the way we have designed this is there's a backing paper cut here, one in the middle, and then one towards the end. We wanted to do this towards the end mainly because we don't want to stretch this area for sure. This shouldn't stretch much. So the concept here is going to be aligning this section right here, focusing on this bottom part, and then as we align that, we're going to pull it across this way. Okay? So first step is you don't have to be as accurate. All you have to be accurate is just about 4 or 5 inches of that. If you wanted to hold this down just so that it's a little bit more easier to deal with, go ahead and just paste it down like this, or use a magnet. And I'm going to go ahead and focus on the alignment right here. The pointy area right here is right around that nub. And then on top of that, the alignment from here is actually pretty good. Okay, so we're going to focus on that. We're going to go ahead and fold it. And look at this. So that's actually a little high, but this is the beauty about this smaller section, is that we can actually just try a few times. So this looks really good, and I like the alignment right here. You can just peel it back a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so we got a decent amount of overlap right here in the corner. Sorry, I kind of pushed that in a little bit, but this is kind of how you want it to look. And then we can go ahead and remove the second part. Okay, it stops roughly right here in the middle. So we got it right here. So here's where it changes, okay? You're gonna pull this just a little bit while looking at this line right here. You're gonna pull a good bit. And that's all you're gonna pull right here. Why? Because we don't have to go all the way, but this distance has definitely decreased right here. But that's all you're trying to go. And you're gonna go ahead and go down the middle, okay? You don't have to worry about the top, but from the middle, just gonna go straight down. And you can see that the line is fairly even all across the board. Don't worry about anything above it right now, okay? And the reason why we do that is if the line wasn't good right here, you could literally peel do the stretch again. Heat it up, do the stretch again. So now we can go ahead and pull the last section leading up to the edge. You're just going to pull it just a little bit more, okay? And there's going to be a little bit of stretch, okay? Once that's good, watch this. We're going to go ahead and tack it right here on the edge. That's all we're going to tack, okay? Because we're tacking that stretch that we just did. And once we have it right here, you can see that everything will align a lot easier. Go ahead and loosen this up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Use your finger all the way up here, and then go ahead and just push it all down. Okay, so you can see the alignment right here turned out really good. And from the bottom, it's all completely squeegee. So before we do the last thing, you see those lines right here? It makes it easy because now you have a handle right here, and you can essentially just pull it. So from here on out, you're going to go ahead and focus on just pulling out those fingers all the way up to the edge. When I say edge, there's a body line, if you remember, right here. You see that? So once you get to that point, just stop. You don't have to keep going. Same thing here. You're going to use this handle to just pull that out. And because of the amount of stretch that we put in place, what's happening is it's actually trying to just form into this area, just like so, okay? Great. And now we're going to go ahead and use your wrap glove and focus on this edge right here. Boom. There you go. We still have to focus on all of this. And because this is flat, I actually don't have to worry about it. So go ahead and look how little the fingers are, or the wrinkles. Very, very few. And there's no tension right here. Okay? Before we get here, I want to show you how this fits right here. Same thing, you want to kind of go over it. And look at this. This will kind of form around it with heat. So we're going to do that later. So once you're at this point, you shouldn't have to actually pull anymore, because remember, you don't actually want to pull the edges. You should be able to pull this back and go straight into the edge. All right, so here we go. A little wrinkle right there. Okay, let's go ahead and do the post heat. Since we're on the left side, let's go ahead and get rid of all these edges. So simply just use your squeegee, just tuck in. And really get underneath. So what I like to do is I kind of put pressure like this so that it really grabs the edges and sticks it up there. Okay, so now we're going to go all the way to the other side. So go ahead, and I already post heated it, but I'm going to post heat again. All the edges. Just gradually pushing that in. And on the halfway point, I kind of stop. And then I like doing it little by little right here. You go to the other side, same thing. There's no tension, so it should come down really, really easily. Okay? Now we're getting to the edge right here, and this is somewhat tricky. It's because of this rubber guard right here. So you just pull that back, use your squeegee, and push that in, like so. And then you got all the way in, right there, really, really clean. Go ahead and use some heat right here. It's about 3 to 4 seconds, and you're just gonna go straight into it, like so, right? You're just gonna use your finger and go right into it. And then we have our squeegee. And that is how the corner looks from the outside perspective. Looks really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and focus on all of these as well. Okay. And once you get here, I like using the orange tool as well to really focus on kind of getting it down. Once I get it down, I can continue to use my normal squeegee and then really push that in all the way there. Okay. If that didn't work, you have this, and this goes around the edges. What you want to do is you're trying to get it behind that, right? So you're kind of pulling it towards yourself. And then now it's completely adhered. And there you go. So now our access is really, really easy from here on out. Always start with heat on edges and corners. So without making a lot of cuts or anything, we felt like this is the easiest. Just go straight into the corner. And then from the outside, it'll mold itself. It might wrinkle just a little bit, but it will stay like that. And then go ahead and use your wrap glove. And that is, Fender is completely done. Make sure you check your work, wipe it down with some of your prep, and if you have anything, this is the time to correct it. But that pretty much sums it up for the Fender. We'll see you in the next module.